Welcome back into the Dynasty Nerds YouTube page. I'm Garrett Price, and today I'm going to be talking about 3 players that you can get at the very end of your drafts, or you can trade for basically nothing that could end up being those diamonds in the rough. All right, I had 3 players for you that could be those late round gems, those diamonds in the rough, and I'm going to give them to you right now. Let's start off at the tight end position, Irv Smith Jr. Irv Smith was originally this highly sought after player from Alabama. Things were looking good with Minnesota, but just the injuries kept getting in the way. But a smaller, athletic tight end that can really stretch the field, do some things after the catch that other tight ends just can't do. Right now, he's kind of being an afterthought. He's at tight end 29 on the Nerds ADP, 190 overall, and he just ended up in Cincinnati, a high-flying, high-octane offense. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, yeah, that's true, but they have Jamar Chase, they have Tyler Boyd, they have T. Higgins, they have all these other pass catchers. Why should I invest in Irv Smith at all? Well, the reason being, last year, Hayden Hurst, that's right, Hayden Hurst, despite missing 3 games, was actually the 12th most targeted tight end of all tight ends. Yeah, 12th most out of all tight ends last year. Look it up. So if you want somebody that could be targeted heavily and has the athletic ability to do something about it after the fact, Irv Smith Jr. is a really sneaky good value right now. Next guy I want to take a look at is running back Keaontay Ingram. Right now, his ADP doesn't even exist on the Nerds ADP. So that means he's being taken after the 240th pick in startups. And look, he's not the starter at the moment. We know that James Conner is going to be the guy. But James Conner is somebody that hasn't necessarily proven to be the most durable player over the course of his career. This is a team that could have a lot of points waiting for the running back. Kyler Murray's gone. He's probably not playing at all this season. And if he does, it's going to be towards the end of the season. So they're going to have to rely on the running game a little bit more than they normally would. They brought in the offensive coordinator that was originally the quarterback's coach in Cleveland. This guy is familiar with 2 tight end sets and running the football. So I think that this is a player that I want to prioritize late in my drafts, because the last part of this argument for me is this team is going to be pretty bad. They're going to want somebody in there that can catch the football. Ingram is a guy that can go out and catch a lot of footballs, but you get to that point in the season when you've won 2 games of your first 10 or whatever it's going to be for the Cardinals. We expect them to be one of the worst teams in football. And you get to that point where you want to see what you have in some of these ancillary pieces. Keaontay Ingram down the stretch could end up seeing a significant workload increase that could be valuable over fantasy playoff time. Last one here, and this is probably my favorite one. Do you ever just stumble upon those guys when you're looking at numbers, looking at statistics, looking at film, whatever it is? That's kind of how I feel about Cade Otton. Cade Otton right now is being drafted in the 180s, 190s, even into the 200s overall in the Nerds ADP. But last year, he tied for 7th in red zone targets out of all tight ends. That's ahead of guys like Dallas Goedert, Pat Freiermuth. Some guys are getting taken significantly ahead of him. He had more red zone targets than those guys. You add in the fact that Baker is likely the starting quarterback this year. During Baker's tenure, the Cleveland Browns threw the ball the 6th most and 5th most over the past 2 seasons that Baker was the starter to the tight end position. And there is no significant depth behind him right now. We're talking a guy that was drafted in the 6th last year and in the 5th this year. So no real significant draft capital other than Cade Otton right now. Last but not least, he last year was actually the 11th highest in snap count out of all tight ends. Same head coach, so we expect him to be trotted out there, maybe even more, because despite being the 11th highest snap count, he actually only had 30, 33, and 0 snaps in his first 3 games. So we expect that number to go up. Red zone targets, overall targets are going to be right for the picking for Cade Otton.